I think one of the big open questions to me is how far you can get with vibe coding. Whether an approach for a young developer to invest most of their time into vibe coding or into writing code from scratch. So vibe coding meaning, so I'm leaning into the meme a little bit, but vibe coding meaning you generate code. You have this idea of a thing you want to create. You generate the code, and then you fix it with both natural language through the prompts and manually. You learn enough to manually fix it. So that's the learning process, how you fix code that's generated. Or you write code from scratch and have the LLMs kind of tab, add extra code. Like, which part do you lean on? I think to be safe, you should find the beauty and the artistry and the skill in both, right from scratch. So like there should be some percent of your time just writing from scratch and some percent vibe coding.
There should be more of the time writing from scratch. If you're interested in learning how to program, unfortunately, you're not going to get fit by watching fitness videos. You're not going to learn how to play the guitar by watching YouTube guitar videos. You have to actually play yourself. You have to do the sit-ups. Programming, understanding, learning almost anything requires you to do. Humans are not built to absorb information in a way that transforms into skills by just watching others from afar. Now, ironically, it seems AI is actually quite good at that, but humans are not. If you want to learn how to become a competent programmer, you have to program. It's really not that difficult to understand. Now, I understand the temptation, and the temptation is there because vibe coding can produce things, perhaps in this moment, especially in a new domain you're not familiar with tools you don't know perfectly well, that's better than what you could do, or that you would take much longer to get at, but you're not going to learn anything. You're going to learn in this superficial way that feels like learning, but is completely empty calories. And secondly, if you can just vibe code it, you're not a programmer. Then anyone could do it, which may be wonderful. That's essentially what happened with the Access database. That's what happened with Excel. It took the capacity of accountants to become software developers because the tools became so accessible to them that they could build a model for how the business was going to do next week. That required a programmer prior to Excel. Now it didn't because they could do it themselves. Vibe coding enables non-programmers to explore their ideas in a way that I find absolutely wonderful. But it doesn't make you a programmer.
I agree with you, but I want to allow for room for both of us to be wrong. For example, there could be vibe coding could actually be a skill that if you train it, and by vibe coding, let's include the step of correction, the iterative correction.
Yes.
It's possible if you get really good at that you're outperforming the people that write from scratch, that you can come up with truly innovative things, especially at this moment in history, while the LLMs are a little bit too dumb to create super novel things in a complete product. But they're starting to creep close to that. So if you're investing time now into becoming a really good vibe coder, maybe this is the right thing to do. If it's indeed a skill, we kind of meme about vibe coding just like sitting back and it's in the name. But if you treat it seriously, a competitive vibe coder, and get good at riding the wave of AI and get good at the skill of editing code versus writing code from scratch, it's possible that you can actually get farther in the long term. Maybe editing is a fundamentally different task than writing from scratch, if you take that seriously as a skill that you develop. To me, that's an open question. I just think I personally, and now you're on another level, but just me, just personally, I'm not as good at editing the code that I didn't write. That's a
No one
different,
is.
no one is of this generation, but maybe that's a skill. Maybe if you get on the same page as the AI, because there's a consistency to the AI. It's like it really is a pair programmer with a consistent style and structure and so on. Plus, with your own prompting, you can control the kind of code you write. I mean, it could legitimately be a skill. Like,
That's the dream of the prompt engineer. I think it's a complete pipe dream. I don't think editors exist that aren't good at writing. I've written a number of books. I've had a number of professional editors. Not all of them wrote their own great books, but all of them were great writers in some regard. You cannot give someone pointers if you don't know how to do it. It's very difficult for an editor to be able to spot what's wrong with a problem if they couldn't make the solution themselves. Editing, in my opinion, is the reward. The capacity to be a good editor is the reward you get from being a good doer. You have to be a doer first. Now, that's not the same as saying that vibe coding, prompt engineering won't be able to produce fully formed, amazing systems even shortly. I think that's entirely possible. But then there's no skill left, which maybe is the greatest payoff at all. Wasn't that the whole promise of AI anyway? That it was just all natural language, that even my clumsy way of formulating a question could result in a beautiful, succinct answer? That actually, to me, is a much more appealing vision, that there's going to be these special prompt engineering wizards who know how to tickle the AI just right to produce what they want. The beauty of AI is to think that someone who doesn't know the first thing about how AI actually works is able to formulate their idea and their aspirations for what they want, and the AI could somehow take that messy clump of ideas and produce something that someone wants. That's actually what programming has always been. There's very often been people who didn't know how to program, who wanted programs, who then hired programmers, who gave them messy descriptions of what they wanted, and then when the programmers delivered that back, said, oh no, actually, that's not what I meant. I want something else. AI may be able to provide that cycle. If that happens to the fullest extent of it, yeah, there's not going to be as many programmers around, right? But hopefully, presumably, someone still, at least for the foreseeable future, have to understand whether what the AI is producing actually works or not.
As an interesting case study, maybe a thought experiment, if I wanted to vibe code Basecamp or Hey, and some of the products you've built, like what would be the bottlenecks? Where would I fail along the way?
What I've seen when I've been trying to do this, trying to use vibe coding to build something real, is you actually fail really early. The vibe coding is able to build a veneer at the current present moment of something that looks like it works,
Right.
but it's flawed in all sorts of ways. There are the obvious ways, the meme ways, that it's leaking all your API keys, it's storing your password in plain text. I think that's ultimately solvable. Like, it's going to figure that out, or at least it's going to get better at that. But its capacity to get lost in its own labyrinth is very great right now. You let it code something, and then you want to change something, and it becomes a game of whack-a-mole real quick. Peter Levels, who's been doing this wonderful flight simulator, was talking to that, where at a certain scale, the thing just keeps biting its own tail. You want to fix something, and it breaks 5 other things, which I think is actually uniquely human, because that's how most bad programmers are. At a certain level of complexity with the domain, they can't fix one thing without breaking 3 other things. So in that way, I'm actually, in some way, it's almost a positive signal for that the AI is going to figure this out, because it's on an extremely human trajectory right now. The kind of mistakes it's making are the kind of mistakes that junior programmers make all the time.